Aisha, you've been covering the story for some time now. What is the latest from where you're standing?
Yes, good morning, Marcel. There are still hundreds of refugees and asylum seekers living on the streets here in the CBD. Now, just to give you some background, you will recall that just over a month ago, they were removed from outside the Central Methodist Church. The city of Cape Town went to the Cape High Court to go and get an order compelling the refugees and asylum seekers to abide.
Unfortunately, we've lost audio there from our reporter Aisha Ismail, who's reporting to us from the city of Cape Town. Let's try and get Aisha back there now. Aisha, unfortunately, we had some problems with your audio. Explain to us again how we find ourselves at this point with these refugees in Cape Town.
Well, you will recall that over a month ago, the refugees and asylum seekers who were living outside the Central Methodist Church on Green Market Square were removed by the city of Cape Town after they successfully got a court order. And the refugees and asylum seekers have since been living on the streets very close to the Cape Town Central Police Station. And what they were saying at the time, that they wanted to be arrested because they're saying that once they're inside the police station, they'll be safe, they'll have access to toilets, they'll have access to clean water. But we saw that the South African police services were reluctant to arrest them. They were saying that these are bylaws and these laws are meant to be implemented by the city of Cape Town. And what has now happened, that since we heard the president declaring a state of disaster, the city of Cape Town is now wanting to implement these emergency regulations as announced by the president, to try and deal with the refugees and asylum seekers on the streets. Now, remember, the Gatherings Act is saying that not more than 100 people are allowed to gather in one place at the same time. And also, of course, the call for social distancing to stop or to curb the spread of the coronavirus. But I am joined here now by the Reverend Chris Nissen from the South African Human Rights Commission, who is on standby here to monitor the situation. Chris, we're now seeing that the city of Cape Town, and by law, they are within their rights to implement the city bylaws, but also more now with the spread of the coronavirus, they're wanting to enforce the regulations. So what's going to happen today?
Well, we must understand that nobody is above the law. And the city of Cape Town is instructed by the court of law to exercise its right to implement the bylaws. And that's what's happening this morning. Obviously, we're not privy to that. It's their operations, their joint operations. But we've been consistent in what we are saying, that integration is the only solution. And now with the virus, coronavirus, I mean, everybody must adhere. It's a state of disaster. If it's not adhered to, we next end up in a state of emergency, and we don't want a state of emergency. We want every citizen, everybody in South Africa, to adhere to the state of disaster regulations and say no more than 30 and keep the social distance.
Now, Chris, you've been working with the refugees and asylum seekers. They've been on the streets now for a very long time. From a human rights point of view, have you been able to reach any solution?
Well, we've been consistently been engaging with a number of people and with the agencies to say, how can you assist helping people to reintegrate into society? Because clearly the other issue about going to any other country is not on. And you were in Parliament when the Portfolio Committee has given instructions to the Department of Home Affairs and the City of Cape Town to say, come within a month and tell us what you're doing with regard to integration. So we must wait until those two government instructions come and say, and report to Parliament and say, this is what we've done. Clearly we want to see people off the streets and into a safe place. Not a place where they can be harassed or where the criminal activity can take place, but a safe where these refugees, because they are refugees with status and they need to be respected as well, but they must also respect the law.
But of course, the declaration of a state of disaster has almost now overtaken the city's bylaws.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, people, I mean, this morning even what happens in Italy, what happens in Brazil, what happens in Spain, in terms of this virus, we cannot underestimate this virus. And therefore, every one of us in the Republic of South Africa has the responsibility to adhere to those declarations and regulations and say, keep the social distance, wash your hands, be not more than so many people. And we need to do that because God forbid that it reach some of our areas, then it will be a total disaster.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. Back to you, Marcel.